What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tirfon Orbital. So, I'd like to switch it up today and go over a lightsaber install. Oh, wait, that's what I do every time. Anyhow, so I think I'm just going to jump right into this one. I would like to go over a custom install that I finished up last week on a Space Jun Sabers, like full one-off hilt. The install on this particular hilt was a very, very challenging one for me. I knew that I wanted to utilize some of there are holes in the grip, so I knew that I wanted not only some shine through on the chassis, but I wanted to have a lot of detail on the chassis that you could see through those holes. I knew that this had a Canon Y switch assembly, so those are a little difficult to wire up at times. There's a crystal chamber in this one as well that was a little bit difficult to light and get my wires past and all that. So it was a challenging install, but I feel as though the end result is exactly what not only myself but what the client was looking for as well. So I'm super happy with the end result. It was just a little bit of a challenging way to engineer different things into the chassis, right? So I want to go over the chassis first, and then we will go over the hilt, and of course we will do a demo, right? So without further ado, let's come into Fusion, take a look at this guy. So here is the chassis that I designed for this install. So this is a static chassis, excuse me. It does secure into the upper part of the hilt with this nipple here. This is held in place with a set screw as well. So we'll start at the bottom. We've got plenty of room for a 28mm speaker. This is from Smuggler's Outpost. I have two square LEDs in these windows. The reason I wanted to do that was because I knew that I wanted shine through in the grip. So when we do an up close, you'll get a better idea as to why. But I wanted some blinking LEDs. I didn't want just NeoPixel strips in this one. I wanted to switch it up a little bit, right? So it's never regular amount of Greeblies with me. It's never. Like, it's just extra tubes. Like, what even is this? It's not a tube. It's like a channel. Actually, now that I'm here, I did utilize this channel for wire management. So this one LED does use this channel to get to the upper part of the hilt where the Proffie board is. So I did. That actually is a functional Greebly. Around the other side, I have a hole for an 11 NeoPixel ring. This is from Stock Custom Works. He's got a number of different sizes of these rings. I wanted a smaller one, okay? So this was an 11 NeoPixel ring. I can't remember off the top of my head the size. It might be a 10mm diameter, but it's small, right? Again, Greeblies along both sides of this. There is a kill switch up top. Battery tray is here. Proffie board sits around back. It does slide up underneath this lip to secure itself in place. There's plenty of room to get at the SD card and USB port if need be, okay? So let's come right into it and talk about the hilt, okay? So here is the hilt, and right away you'll notice, so this hilt is based on Ven Zallow's hilt. I think that this hilt initially came from KR Sabers. And Nevin from Space Junk did his modifications to it. But anyhow, we've got these holes here in the grip that Nevin put in place. One of the tricky things about designing the chassis for this hilt is I needed to make sure that not only was the clocking correctly, so that when the grip is fully screwed in, you can see the LEDs and the NeoPixel, but I also had to make sure that the Greeblies were viewable as well, right? So if the chassis was in the wrong direction, as soon as this entire grip is in place, you're either going to see the battery or you're going to see the board. And so just figuring out the timing and the clocking on that was a little difficult. So yeah, that was a little bit of a challenge, making sure that all my spacing was right on that. There is a viewable external crystal chamber behind this window. So this is a steel, piece of corrugated steel, it looks like, almost, with magnets in the body of the hilt. So that does stick in place, and there's a really small brass thumb screw here. This is a modification that Nevin from Space Jun Sabers did. Now with the crystal chamber as well, this is a machined brass crystal chamber. Really, really nice, beautiful looking crystal chamber. Around back, here's our Canon Y switch assembly. So underneath this clamp card, there are two tactile switches that serve as your main and your aux. Top is your main, bottom is your aux. I love Canon Y switch assemblies. I love these. I love them so much. I wish you could get more of these. In fact, if anyone knows of a good source for Canon Y switch assemblies, please do let me know, okay? Coming up top, there were two LEDs in place. Nevin did ship the hilt with these LEDs here. I wasn't sure whether or not they were just decorative or not, but I was able to get these out, and sure enough, the legs are still in place. So I wired both of those up, and they're in line with the PCB emitter, okay? And of course, making our way up, we've got a custom blade plug. This is from Nevin at Space Jun Sabers. That's another Canon Y part, this fork up here. And we've got a lit PCB emitter from Stardust Sabers, okay? Okay, so let's talk about how to use this guy. Something that I completely neglected to mention when we went over the chassis. There is a speaker pod in this build. Here's the speaker pod. I did emboss Space Jun Sabers on that. Unfortunately, this is about a 26.5 millimeter inner diameter in this pommel. So I was able to get a 24 millimeter speaker in here, and it is in a speaker pod. Okay. At the bottom there, I've just got Tirfon Orbital and Arabesh, and there is our speaker PCB set. So how I've been using it is I take the pommel off first, then I take off my grip. Here is the chassis, okay? We've got our Proffie V3 here. I do already have a battery in this guy. Kill switch is here. I did add some minor accents to this. There's some watch parts in this guy as well. I've got away from doing this. This is something that I used to do a lot when I first started out. I've got a bunch of just like old watch parts that I used to stick on chassis. So I think I might get back to doing that just to make things, just switch things up a little bit. But anyhow, here's that NeoPixel ring. And here are those two square LEDs, right? So to put your battery in, you want to take the flat part of your battery, negative side down, okay? Hit your kill switch. So you're not going to hear anything because the speaker pod is not connected yet. But here are two blinking LEDs, and there is that NeoPixel ring, right? So we can go ahead and put our grip back on. Let's come down to the bottom here. And then you can screw your pommel in with the speaker pod. And you're ready to go. So there's that NeoPixel ring. There's those two LEDs. So I wanted that to be viewable through the grip, right? And we've also got those two lit accents here. Really, really cool hilt. Cool hilt. The last time I was able to do a hilt like this, where the chassis was viewable through the grip, was a KY Sabers turbine, I believe. That's another hilt that's got like, you know, huge holes in the grip, so you can really show off the chassis while the grip is in place, and you know, put NeoPixels on it and all that. So I knew that I really wanted to utilize that aspect of the grip, right? So let's put a blade in it. So this is a 1-inch blade holder. I really need to get a shorter demo blade for these videos, right? So put your blade in. There is a thumb screw back here. I know this looks so familiar to me. I think it might be from an MPP. I'm not sure. Anyhow, that is your blade retention, right? This is a 36-inch blade. I am not a fan. I almost never use this one. My personal, like my daily driver is right behind me. That's my cran horn that I built, and that's got a 32-inch blade, and that's perfect length in my opinion. This thing is just too long. It's too long, you know. Anyhow, so Top button is your main, bottom is your aux. Twist to activate, twist to deactivate are all on.
I am no Jedi.
And there is that crystal, lit crystal chamber. So this config is a hefty one, okay? The config itself has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blades. So one is for your main, one is for the crystal chamber NeoPixel, one is for the onboard NeoPixel ring, and the other two are those 2 LEDs in the chassis. This was my first Proffie V3 install, and the first things I noticed about the new Proffie boards, well, one of the first things I noticed was that the pads are a little bit different, but another thing I noticed is, wow, is there a lot more memory. This particular config I compiled on a Proffie V2, and it was at like 99% space. I compiled the same config on a V3, and it was like 51%. No matter what blade style I threw at this board, it still just jumped up just incrementally. So, I mean, I'm really excited about the future of Proffie board. In my opinion, it is really starting to become like one of the best top tier boards, not only for the price point, but for the customizations and all of that. So big fan so far. And this was, like I said, this is my first Proffie V3 install. I've done 2 since this one. So I've got 3 under my belt now, but I love the board already, right? So that's it, right? So we've got, like I said, I really wanted to get viewable accents through the grip on this guy. Great, really awesome. And another thing I like about this hilt is the diameter of the grip. It's not too chunky, right? It feels good in my hand, and I've got huge gorilla hands, right? So anyhow, that's it. That is the VZ by Space Junk Sabers. To the client, thank you very much for your patience. To the viewers, thanks everybody for your support. And with that being said, I think we're done here. So may the force be with you always. Thanks for watching, everybody.